What is going on with this Northside OG here? Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoy it, and we're back with another video today. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the world, the British Empire. The world is the 5th Codex entry section in the Codex entry. I have all 13, and since I have all 13, I'll just go from left to right. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, such, just like that. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the British Empire. And I'll give you more information after we listen to the Codex.
In 1914, a quarter of the world was controlled by the British Empire, and the colonies were secured by Britain's supreme naval power. At the time, the British Army was quite small compared to the other European powers, but it was the only fully professional regular army in Europe, and the soldiers were highly efficient despite their small numbers. Fearing the expansion of German influence, Britain guaranteed Belgium's neutrality, meaning that an attack on Belgium was an attack on Britain, and all the corners of the global empire would join the fight.
And that was the British Empire Codex background. Now I'm going to go to Microsoft Edge, which I'm going to go to Wikipedia, and show you guys some World War I background. So, people ask, when is the British Empire the most powerful? At its height, it was the largest empire in history, and it was the world's most powerful superpower for more than a century. By 1922, more than 458 million people lived in the British Empire. But that's past World War One, so we don't need to learn about that. How the imperialism caused World War One. The imperialism contributed to World War One. The amount of land that Britain and France owned led to the heightened rivalry with Germany, which sought to acquire colonies later on and only controlled small portions of Africa. So, like, North Africa was controlled a little bit by small portions, by colonies, and Germany wanted more land, which that also led a little bit towards the war because Germany wanted land, but they wouldn't allow it because it was already part of Britain and France. So Britain and France were allies, Germany was the enemy. What countries were part of the British Empire in 1914? Foundations of the empire were laid between 1750 and 1850, during which Britain acquired India, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, Rhodesia, Hong Kong, Gibraltar, and several islands, West Indies, and various colonies in the African coast. Which countries were ruled by England? Britain has invaded all but 22 countries in the world in its long and colorful history. New research has found every schoolboy used to know that the height of the empire, almost a quarter of the atlas was colored pink, showing the extent of British rule. Now, let's go to the wiki, and let's go see more about the British Empire. The British Empire was compromised by dominions, colonies, protectorates, and mandates, and other territories ruled or administered by the United Kingdom and its predecessor states. It originated with the overseas possessions and trading posts established by England between the late 16th and 18th century. The British Empire. Now, that zoom in was crazy. This is the flag of the United Kingdom during the British Empire. It still is today, I think. So this is all the British Empire. All this pink. Canada, the Eastern United States, this little small mark right there, north of South America. And did they capture Antarctica? What is this? Australia, India, over here. I don't know these. I can't see these parts. Egypt, whatever this place is, South Africa, these little pieces of North Africa, down here in the middle of Central Africa, and also up here, Britain and Ireland, of course. All the areas of the world that were ever part of the British Empire, current British overseas territories have their names underlined in red. Alright, so all the overseas territories are underlined in red. I can't see them, so I'm not gonna try and read them. So up here it also says, at its height, it was the largest empire in history, and for over a century, the foremost global power. By 1913, the British Empire held sway over 412 million people. That's 23% of the world population at the time. And by 1920, it covered over 35,500,000 kilometers to the second power, which is actually 13,700,000 square miles. That's 24% of Earth's total land area. That's a quarter of the world was controlled by British Empire. So this is the origins from 1497 to 1583. Foundation of the British Empire laid when England and Scotland were separated kingdoms. In 1496, King Henry VII of England, following the successors of Spain, Portugal, and overseas exploration, commissioned John Cabot to lead a voyage to discover the route to Asia through the North Atlantic. All right. Plantations of Ireland. The first British Empire was in 1583 to 1783. Elizabeth I granted the patent to the patent to Humphrey Gilbert for discovery and overseas exploration. That year, Gilbert sailed for the Caribbean with an intention of engaging in piracy and establishing a colony in North America. But the expedition was aborted before it had crossed the Atlantic. He embarked on a second attempt on this occasion to the island of Newfoundland, whose harbor he formerly claimed for England, although no settlers were left behind. In 1603, James VI, King of Scots, ascended as James I to the English throne, and in 1604 negotiated the Treaty of London, ending hostilities with Spain. Now in peace with the main rival, English attention shifted to preying on their nation's colonial infrastructures to the business establishing to the overseas colonies, Americas, Africa, and the slave trade. This is the Newfoundland area. Rivalry with the North Netherlands in Asia. So this is the picture over here of Fort St. George. It was founded in Madras in 1939. This was the fort. This looks familiar. It looks like the fort in Chapter 2, Mission 2, when the bombers went over the fort and Ewan Wilson took pictures and you found the secret German hideouts. We had global conflicts with France. Loss of the 13 American colonies. Rise of the Second British Empire. There was two British empires. Exploration of the Pacific. War with the Napoleonic France. Abolition of slavery. Britain's imperial century. 1815 and 1914. Now let's go up and let's learn about the World War One, because too much stuff right here. World Wars. There we go. The First World War. History of the United Kingdom during World War One. Britain's Fears of the War Germany has released in 1914 with the outbreak of the First World War. Britain quickly invaded and occupied most of Germany's overseas colonies in Africa. In the Pacific, Australia and New Zealand occupied German New Guinea and Samoa, respectively. Plans for the post-war division of the Ottoman Empire, which had joined the war on Germany's side, were secretly drawn up by Britain and France under 1916's Sykes-Picot Agreement. This agreement was not divulged to the Sharif of Mecca, who the British had been encouraging to launch an Arab revolt against their Ottoman rulers, giving the impression that Britain was supporting the creation of the independent Arab state. Now, this right here is a poster urging men from the countries of the British Empire to enlist in the British Army. Empire needs men. Australia, Canada, India, and New Zealand all answered the call. Helped by the young lions, the old lion defies the foes. Enlist now. Over here is the soldiers of the Australian 5th Division waiting to attack during the Battle of Fromelles on July 19th, 1916. This is the middle of the war. What's Battle of Fromelles? This was right here. I can't read it. I don't speak French. But it was from July 19th to the 20th, 1916. It was a British military operation on the Western Front of World War I, subsidiary diary to the Battle of Somme. Okay. So it was in this area of France. More about the British Empire in World War One. I'm gonna go check it out. The interwar period. So changing the war, in particular the growth of the United States and Japan as naval powers, and the rise of the independence movement in India and Ireland caused a major reassessment of the British imperial policy. Wait. Oh, whoa, whoa. We missed a whole bunch of stuff. What's happening? World War One, right here. Not the Second World War. Oh, this is all the World War One stuff right here. The British declaration of the Germany and its allies committed to the colonies and dominions, which provided invaluable military, financial, and material support. Over 2.5 million men served in the armies of the dominions, as well as many thousands of volunteers from the Crown colonies. The contributions of Australian and New Zealand troops during the 1950 Gallipoli campaign against the Ottoman Empire had a great impact on the national consciousness at home and marked the watershed to the transition of Australia and New Zealand from colonies to nations of their own right. The countries continue to commemorate this occasion on Anzac Day. Canadians viewed the Battle of Vimy Ridge in a similar light. The important contribution of the Dominions to the war effort was recognized in 1917 by the British Prime Minister David Lloyd George when he invited both the Dominion Prime Ministers to join an Imperial War Cabinet to coordinate imperial policy. Under the terms of concluding Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, the empire reached its greatest extent to the addition of 1.8 million square miles and 13 million new subjects. The colonies of Germany and the Ottoman Empire were distributed to the Allied powers as League of Nations mandates. Britain gained control of Palestine, Transjordan, Iraq, parts of Cameroon and Togoland, and Tanganyika. Tanganyika, however you want to say it. The dominions themselves also acquired mandates of their own. The Union of South Africa gained Southwest Africa, modern-day Namibia. Australia gained Guinea, New Guinea, and New Zealand, Western Samoa. Nauru was made a combined mandate of Britain and the two Pacific dominions. And now I'm going to go to the Gallipoli campaign. Let's see this. This was the British Gallipoli campaign, part of the Middle Eastern theater of World War One. This was all these men. This was how the war was. These looked like dreadnoughts out here. This was the beach of Gallipoli when they stormed. I will get into the Gallipoli campaign later on. That is part of the war, which took place in Chapter 4, The Runner. If you guys remember the Australian guy. Yep. So we'll get into this later on in a different video. This is a collection of photographs from the campaign from left to right. Ottoman commanders including Mustafa Kemal and other worshippers. But we'll get into the Gallipoli campaign later on. And everything I just read, that was the end of this video, really, for the World War One background. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this World War One background and educational purposes on World War One on the British Empire. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. So like always, stay healthy, stay sexy, and I'll see you guys in my next video.